सुनने वालों को सिराज ज़ैदी का बहुत बहुत प्यार भरा आदाब, नमस्कार and good afternoon. Welcome to Apna Radio, broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. Each Thursday from 3 to 4, I'm here broadcasting from the studio to the world. Tune me in. सुनने वालों को सिराज ज़ैदी का बहुत बहुत प्यार भरा आदाब, नमस्कार, good evening and सत श्री अकाल, and all those good wishes to all our listeners who are listening to Apna Radio, broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. Very welcome to the program. You're very, very welcome to the program. And belated Eid Mubarak, because that's a couple of days ago. I didn't get a chance to say hello about Eid on last program, but today is the appropriate day. After Sunday and Monday, 2 days, people celebrated Eid worldwide. And so Eid Mubarak, as we call it. And hope you had a good Eid, and I'm looking forward to the program today. I hope you can stay with me until 4 o'clock, and don't go anywhere because there's lots of goodies in the bag today, and therefore I shall be spilling them up all over the place and telling you what's going on in the world. Yes, what's going on in India. Sharad will brief you in. Charmain will brief you in on the news in a minute. But I will tell you the globe-trotting, proper globe-trotting. I will tell you the real stuff, what's going on. Everything else, of course, in the context of last program that I talked about it, Howard Lunatic, who threatened our economy and all that. And our economy is going to be shaken, but let's hold the breath until I spill the bean later on. So sit back, relax, and listen to what Charmain has got to say about the news in India. So there you go. Charmain, you take it away.
I'm Charmain Colvin, and you are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. US President Donald Trump announced this week that India was willing to cut tariffs, suggesting a possible relief for India from sweeping US tariffs. India has agreed to the terms of reference for the bilateral trade agreement with the US following an intervention from the Prime Minister's office. 𝐀𝐩𝐧𝐚 𝐑𝐚𝐲, former Indian trade officer and head of the think tank Global Trade Research Initiative, warned that while US is pressurising India to amend its trade policies to benefit American interests, New Delhi must assess each demand through the lens of its own national priorities, development goals and cultural values. He warned that many of the proposed changes in areas like agriculture, digital governance and public health pose serious risks to India's ability to protect its small farmers, maintain food safety, uphold deeply rooted social norms, and secure its digital future. Recently, US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick criticised India's trade policies, questioning why it does not buy American corn, and even accused it of blocking US farmers and imposing market restrictions. Agriculture is a key battleground in US President Donald Trump's escalating trade war, with tit-for-tat or reciprocal tariffs set to kick off this week. Trump has repeatedly branded India a tariff king and a big abuser of trade ties. For years, Washington has pushed for greater access to India's farm sector, but India has fiercely protected it, citing food security, livelihoods, and the interests of millions of small farmers. India lawmakers are debating a controversial bill that seeks to change how properties with billions of dollars donated by Indian Muslims over centuries are governed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has presented the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024, which brings in dozens of amendments to an existing law in the lower house of Parliament where it is being discussed. The government says the bill will introduce transparency into the management of Waqf, as the properties are called, but opposition parties and Muslim groups have opposed it, calling it an attempt to weaken the constitutional rights of India's largest religious minority. The bill will be passed in the Lok Sabha if it gets more votes than the halfway mark of 272. Most opposition parties, including the Congress, are expected to vote against the bill, but the coalition led by Modi's BJP is expected to have enough numbers to get it passed. An Indian court has sentenced self-styled Christian preacher Bajinder Singh to life imprisonment for raping a woman in 2018. The woman had accused Singh of raping her at his home in the northern state of Punjab, recording the act and using the video later to blackmail her. Singh, who has millions of followers, rose to fame for his evangelist-style preaching and events where he can be seen healing people suffering from serious illnesses by placing his hands on them. Singh's lawyers have not commented on the verdict, but are expected to appeal against the verdict in the High Court. The Indian Meteorological Department has said that most parts of India will experience an intense heat wave this summer, with above normal temperatures expected across most of the country. Many states already reported weekly average minimum temperatures above normal by 1 to 3 degrees in February. Hundreds die each year in India due to scorching heat. Sectors like agriculture also suffer as availability of water reduces. In 2024, India recorded its hottest day at 50.5 degrees C on the 28th of May in western Rajasthan state's Churu city. The country's health ministry attributed 143 deaths to heat waves between the 1st of March and the 20th of June. Independent experts, however, believe the numbers are much higher. And finally, Indian superstar Mohanlal has apologised and said some scenes will be removed from his new film after criticism from Hindu nationalist groups. The Malayalam language film L2 Empuran was released last week and is performing well at the box office. However, it faced a backlash from Hindu groups, including members of Modi's BJP, over some scenes, including one seen as referring to the 2002 anti-Muslim riots in Gujarat state. Writing on Facebook, he said, "As an artist, it is my duty to ensure that none of my films are hostile to any political movement, ideology, or religious group." So that's all from India this week. You are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Thank you very much indeed, Charmain, for a delectable news item. And what how do I say, what a speed, what a delivery you have done today. It's amazing. The content, as usual, are superb content for the news, starting from the tariff attack who's happening all around the world. And tariff is terrifying the world of these Howard Lutnick, read me, Howard Lunatic, and also the Trump administration, who is going to announce today at 9 p.m. In fact, they did yesterday, in fairness, yesterday at 9 p.m., and that what is going to happen to Ireland, particularly, which I've covered in my program last week, that how our surplus will be affected, how our economy will dwindle a little bit, will take a dip and all that, and tariffs are being imposed upon Ireland from US. And of course, Europeans, we're not alone. We are with the rest of the Europe, and we're tiny nations. We cannot be standalone when it comes to our economy. So our economy is due to the fact, is gone up due to the fact of the, helping hand that we got from Europe years ago. We're talking about a good few 20 odd years when Europe uplifted Ireland. So Europe is our big brother, and we are part of it. And so therefore Ursula von der Leyen has actually said very clearly in her speech that we would wait and we would watch, and then we would rebuttal the tariff, cent by cent, pence by pence. If you slam us for if the Donald Trump tariff slump is going to affect the European market, 20% this and 20% that, and a flat this and flat that. I mean, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to fund the third Gulf War or fourth Gulf War or the World War with Iran and Houthis, which I'm going to talk about it later on in the program. But first of all, let's discuss this particular thing, which Charmain has very clearly picked it up, that why should our Indian farmers, buy your, rotten corn? You produce corn, sell it to the rest of the world, but not to India. India produce our own bhuttas, as we call it, and corn, the best quality coming from Punjab. And the Punjab is a food basket of India. We're not going to, lick up to your policies when it comes to agriculture policy. India is an agriculture country. India is the 60-70% of India is a farming land. And our farmers are from east to the west, to the north, to the four corners of India. We do have a massive farmland and sufficiently looked after by our farmers. That all will be affected. Remember Monsanto years ago? There was the company, an American company who produces the seeds. Were trying to monopolize the world by just take our seeds and nobody else can produce and sell the seeds. Monsanto is an American company, but we rejected that. So is the current situation whereby India has refused to take the American policies on farming. And why should we? I mean, India is a self-sufficient country when it comes to farming. Not only that, we also export to the neighboring nations, such as Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Not Pakistan, used to be, not anymore. But yeah, all the neighboring, Nepal is, all of that is a neighboring country. We do have export of our agriculture products. But anyway, that is one thing. But what I'm going to talk about is that how the Americans have actually, yesterday, the Donald Trump actually sat, on this issue, and he walked on this so-called rose garden of White House to announce the tariff and terrorizing the whole country. Now, don't panic because it's not going to happen. I was listening today, or yesterday, in fact, on OT Radio 1, and of course the 𝐀𝐩𝐧𝐚 𝐑𝐚𝐝 has actually did a very good analysis at his late night debate. I used to work with 𝐀𝐻𝐚 𝐑𝐚𝐝 when the previous incarnation, when we used to be in the news talk late night shift, we used to do it, and Declan Carty used to produce that, and me, 𝐀𝐻𝐚 𝐑𝐚𝐝 used to be the participant on the when the news talk was in Paper Canister Church around that building. So 𝐀𝐻𝐚 has been actually now steadily increasing his position in RTE, and he's going to do a fantastic job had he climb up the further ladder. But last night when the debate happening, the late night debate about this particular tit for tat kind of thing, Ursula von der Leyen is holding the ground. We are holding our ground. We're not going to do tit for tat because we're not going to scoop to at his level, but we know what his level is. He is below the belt type of individual. He is common denominator, less than common denominator is this individual called Donald Trump and his crony and allies and economic Howard Lutnick and all these guys who are trying to take the world and suck the world when it comes to economy, and by selling their product to them at a higher tariff and all the rest of it. But what he's doing with Ireland is surprisingly affecting everybody in the world, particularly across the water. UK has been commenting that Ireland is going to be hit badly. And he's singling out one sector, and that is the pharmaceutical sector. Okay, fair enough. Pharmaceutical sector employs a massive amount of people in Ireland. Scattered around Ireland, various shops have been set up, various factories have been set up to manufacture the pharmaceutical products, and they are being sold at a 10%. They pay 10% tax here, less than the rest of Europe, and that's the reason they're here. But they are going to get affected, because if you sell it back to US, the pharmaceutical products, you'll be paying a 20% tariff on that. So that is this nonsense, and that's the sector he's isolating, and he's actually terrifying all the rest of us. And the knock-on effect of that is going to surely going to happen in our economy. So much so that our house tax is going to go up. Local property tax. Yes, the tax on buying and selling houses is one thing, but local property tax that we pay here, UK doesn't, charges local property tax, but they do tax other things like water and things like that. We don't pay water. But local property tax has been announced by Pascal O'Donoghue, our finance minister. And if you own a house, you got to pay for it. And, you pay the tax on owning the house. That is an unusual thing for the world, but that's the way it is. And that's one of the knock-on effect. It will generate few billions in economy and push our economy. So we have a mechanism to somehow cope with this economic shakeup that is going to happen. I wouldn't call it earthquake because it's not earthquake. It's going to be, let's hope that it's going to be the storm in a teacup, and it'll fizzle out within the 4 years period of that of his tenure, and gradually whatever it'll happen, it'll all fizzle out because the American businesses will be affected, and one talk is happening among the Democrats that they should be taking away the powers from this guy, Donald Trump, of imposing tariffs, declaring war, saying all sorts of obnoxious things to the world. Those are the powers that can be scaled down. And worst, what he's trying to do, he's announced that his third term, that he's going to come back to a third term. Hello, that's another power that Democrats are saying that there will be some sort of a review of that. So there you go. So a lot of things are happening, and Donald Trump is singling out, and his economic advisor, his chief economist, Howard Lutnick, is maybe one theory is floating around that because Ireland is a very friendly to pro-Palestine, and therefore Howard Lutnick, being an extreme Zionist individual, he's trying to actually use through, yes, Israel is working in the background, that they should hurt Ireland because Ireland is sympathetic to Palestinian cause. Now, that's a hypothetical theory. It may or may not be true, but that could be the case. And therefore, Ireland will be affected, not immediately, not in the immediate future, but yes, few months down the line, if he announces from tomorrow onwards or today onwards, the tariff will be applicable to the goods and services that has been going between Ireland and US and vice versa. So that's a terrifying thing, and it's all over the press, all over the media. Everybody is talking about, everybody is discussing only one thing, and that is the US tariff. What's gone wrong for the cordial relationship, for the years and years of good work of the two business communities work together to increase their economic ties, shamrock diplomacy, all of that is aside. This gentleman comes in the power and he is like a bull in a china shop trying to go and wreck things around. Anyway, I have enough to say about that issue, and because I have other issue to cover it, and of course the Sharad Awasthi is here to talk about the another fantastic, in fact, information about the media data laws in India. And I'll talk to you about once you listen to this particular clip about the Data Protection Act and all that is not there, but there you go.
Thank you. Today we are going to discuss a critical issue that could alter the course of Indian democracy. But then a disclaimer here at the outset, we want to clarify that we do not support or oppose any political party. Instead, our primary concern is India's interest, and we raise issues that matter most to the nation. We deeply value our hard-fought independence and freedom from the colonial rule, and under no circumstance we wish to see anyone dilute or restrict those freedoms, that freedom which is enshrined in the Constitution of the country. With this spirit of vigilance, we will discuss today's topic. In 2023, the government passed the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. At the time, some concerns were raised, but they were largely overshadowed by other pressing issues, including the violence in Manipur. Now that the bill has been enacted, the government is set to notify its implementation sometime in April this year, along with rules and regulations. So, according to the government, the law aims to protect Indians from data breaches, prevent the misuse of personal information, and uphold the right to privacy. The government asserts that it seeks to safeguard the data of Indian citizens. With the rise of social media and e-commerce platform we all use every day, companies, tech giants collect and process vast amount of data such as names, addresses, age, preferences, and they do so to target consumers and consumer behaviors effectively and to make profit. Major corporations like Facebook, Google, Twitter, now called X, they store this information in their servers which are located outside India, which means that the data of you and me, of all the Indian users, is controlled by these foreign entities. And that is where things get complicated. However, the new law has faced strong opposition due to concerns about its potential hidden agenda. Before going deeper into the complicated matters, it is important to understand the significance of the Right to Information Act. Now, this was introduced in 2005 by the previous government, and this Right to Information Act, RTI as we all know, empowered Indian citizens with the fundamental right to question authorities, demand transparency, and hold those in power accountable for their actions. Over time, now it has been 20 years, RTI has played a crucial role in upholding the spirit of democracy in India. There have been numerous examples, I'll come to them. Regardless of which government was in power, authorities are often exposed through RTI inquiries. Many voters have got dismayed and the elections have changed results. Perhaps for this reason, in 2019, the current government, it curtailed RTI's effectiveness by weakening the secure tenure of the Chief Information Commissioners. Now, previously, these officials had a fixed tenure of 5 years or until the age of 65, like any other constitutional heads, like Chief Justice and Election Commissioners. And the Information Commissioners were drawing a salary equivalent to Election Commissioners of India. However, the government altered this provision, making their tenure subject to its discretion. As a result, what happened is, information commissioners are now effectively dependent on the central government, and this raises concern about their autonomy and a concern raised by Justice Sri Krishna. So it is just not up in the air that people are worried about. In a continuous effort to weaken RTI as alleged, or we can suspect, the government introduced an amendment to a crucial section of RTI Act, and that section is called 8 subsection 1 subsection J. Now, this section previously allowed the disclosure of the names if the information of the public interest and relevance. Because of this provision about the public interest, RTI helped expose corruption scandals such as electoral bonds, which is a major one, and the massive bank write-offs favoring the wealthy and the powerful. Now, the journalists and the press were able to identify the corporations and the individuals involved in crony capitalism and favoritism, and this transparency actually brought accountability to the government and exposed conflicts of interest. Probably the electoral bonds were one of the factors for the ruling BJP to not secure a majority on its own in 2024 elections. Such is the power of RTI. However, such revelations have embarrassed the ruling establishment even if they are opposition ruling the states. Now, under the guise of this Data Protection and Privacy Act, new legal restrictions will make it harder to name companies and individuals involved in the wrongdoing. So under the new law, journalists, university researchers, civil society organizations, including our resident welfare associations, RWAs, and political parties, they will be classified as fiduciaries, making them responsible for data ownership and processing. They need explicit consent from the individuals or the companies before collecting and publishing the data. Subsequently, failure to comply could result in fines up to rupees 250 crores, and this penalty can potentially rise to 500 crore. Imagine an individual in breach of this act. Although the government claims that the law aims to protect Indian citizens' data, these large tech giants like Google and Facebook, they will remain unaffected. These companies already obtain consent when the user, like you and me, when we sign up for the services of the Facebook, Google and the WhatsApp. Since users must accept the terms of this platform when we are signing in, we have no choice but to consent. And as a result, these multinational corporations are shielded from this Indian law. Therefore, this raises a critical question. Who is truly at risk of this law? Is it being used to target RTI activists, transparency advocates, or investigative journalists? The Data Protection Act appears to pose a significant threat to those seeking to uphold the government accountable. Some argue that it weaponizes the law and using legal mechanism to intimidate and suppress dissent. Now, this RTI was established to combat corruption and prevent abuse of power. These were the two objectives. However, with dilution of RTI and introduction of this Data Protection Act, the ability for anyone to expose wrongdoers is severely compromised, as you can see. For instance, if the disclosure of the electoral bond transactions had not revealed the names of donors and beneficiaries, Indian democracy would have suffered from lack of transparency. We would have voted for people who were not helping India. Similarly, if banks had been allowed to conceal the identities of the defaulters who fled the country after taking massive loans, the public would never have known how much taxpayer money is lost. At the grassroots level also, millions of RTI applications related to essential public services like ration cards, pensions, scholarships, and even electoral rolls, they help the transparency and the democracy in this country. In recent elections in Maharashtra and Delhi, concerns are raised about voters' list manipulation. With the new law in place, the investigation of these discrepancies will become nearly impossible. This, as a consequence, direct consequence, will weaken the Indian democracy. If political parties cannot analyze voter list due to privacy restrictions, how can electoral fraud be uncovered and prevented? Tell me. Under this law, a regulatory body will be appointed by the government who will determine who falls under the purview of data protection. That's another twist and turn in this act. This means the governing board of the data protection will have the authority to selectively permit or prohibit the collection and the processing of the data. In a democracy, people hold the government accountable through fundamental rights like RTI and freedom of expression. However, with this law, the government will hold individuals accountable for accessing and sharing information while restricting their ability to express what they have been able to investigate and discover. This is not the first time a government agency has been accused of losing its autonomy. Like the Supreme Court once described the Central Bureau of Investigation as a caged parrot. And similar concerns have been raised about Enforcement Directorate, if you remember. So, what is the real motive? What is the real intent behind this legislation? We come back to this question again. From the evidence, it appears that the government is not only shielding wrongdoers, allegedly, but also instilling fear, sort of legal terrorism, through disproportionately high fines up to 500 crores, which can be administered by a regulatory body, a data protection board, with an unchecked discretion or being captive of the government. Now, this law marks the beginning of a surveillance state, I fear so, where directly two constitutional rights, the right to information and right to freedom of expression, are being systematically undermined. I strongly recommend reading George Orwell's book 1984, which explores the dangers of a surveillance state and how governments seek to control citizens' rights through citizen data. Now, what's the solution? As of now, the immediate solution is that the government must engage with civil society organizations, opposition parties, intellectuals, and the Joint Parliamentary Committee reports to ensure a fair and balanced implementation of this law. If this act is enforced unilaterally, as it seems to be, India risks straying into its democratic ideals. The constitution may be under threat. As the saying goes, they all take the tram of democracy only to reach the destination of dictatorship. Let us ensure that this tram journey from democracy to dictatorship does not become India's reality. Let us ensure that this law does not become India's reality. With those thoughts, I leave you until next week. Keep safe, keep informed, and dutifully ask questions. Bye for now.
Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read, or hear. But now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE. 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Indeed, welcome back to the program, and that is 93.9 Dublin South FM, broadcasting each Thursday from 3 to 4 here from Dundrum Town Centre. Now, what Sharad has actually dig out, should I say, a fantastic, a piece of information, which you must know that the draconian laws of India can actually silence the democracy. And the difference between democracy and dictatorship is that's how it happens, that you fundamentally erode one by one, this kind of thing. I don't know, there's a beautiful film that I've just selected for the first film festival, the 16th Indian Film Festival of Ireland, that will take place in September. It's called A Dispatch. And A Dispatch is a story of a journalist who's trying to actually, reach to the source, and data protection and all that laws that has been going on is about this film, is that how an Indian newspaper journalist based in Mumbai, and a newspaper called Dispatch, is trying to actually go after the story, which is obviously riddled with the corruption, cronyism, multi-crores business and all the rest of it, and how it's been controlled, and how the data and the information stored in data in Gurgaon, Gurugram as they call it, is being stored. And he travels to Delhi, he goes to there, and it's a beautiful fight sequence. Not the fight sequence, but he actually penetrates to a data center, and he actually managed to get what he wanted to get, and so on and so forth. So do please watch it. It's called Dispatch, and we will be showing in our film festival in September perhaps as a closing film. So film festival is at the brim at the moment, developing with a rapid pace. Almost all the title films are being selected and have been in the process of getting locked in. And of course, the guest list is drawing up at the moment. One thing I can announce is that our delectable actor, wonderful actor, multi-talented actor, Javed Jaffrey, who is starring in an opening film called 𝐤𝐿, which is directed by Avinash Das. They both are attending and confirm their availability, that they will be attending the film festival. Now, in order to spice up a little bit of the festival, I always do what I call it a gala award night. And in that gala award night, I have introduced fantastic performances, lovely items, nostalgic song sequences from old films. Like last year, we have the classic films like Mughal-e-Azam, and a beautiful Angela did the beautiful song on that, a dance sequence. And therefore, I'm trying to actually woo to another talented young artist. She's an actress. She could be a modest dancer as well. And I'm negotiating and I'm trying to talk to her at the moment so I can invite her as a dancer for 3 classical sequences that I would like to slot that in. One is my all-time favorite film, Pakiza. इन्हीं लोगों ने ले ली ना दुपट्टा मेरा. And the other film is the In Aankhon Ki Masti Mein, 𝐤𝐬 my friend Muzaffar Ali was here a few years ago, his film. And of course the third, my favorite film, is Devdas, Shah Rukh Khan film, Madhuri Dixit film, Ye Hara Rang Kisne Dala, beautiful song sequences. So all those 3 semi-classical, classical dances, they're based on Kathak dance, but they are Indian classical dance. If they can be performed live on the stage during the Gala Award night, that would be fantastic. So a lot of work is in the works at the moment, and I'll talk about that later on. There's plenty of time to talk about that. But for the minute, I would talk to you about, let me take a track of song, because time is ticking up and I haven't played any track so far. So let's see if I can play a track, and it would be fantastic that you will enjoy this track. So there you go. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular track.
ये पर्दा हटा दो, जरा मुखड़ा दिखा दो, हम प्यार करने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं. अरे हम तुम पे मरने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं.
ओ मजनू के नाना, मेरे पीछे न आना, जा प्यार करने वाले तेरी खैर नहीं. अरे ओ हम पे मरने वाले तेरी खैर नहीं.
ये पर्दा हटा दो. को भी समझा दो, बस इतना बता दो, हम प्यार करने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं. अरे हम तुम पे मरने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं.
ओ मजनू के नाना, मेरे पीछे न आना, जा प्यार करने वाले तेरी खैर नहीं. अरे ओ हम पे मरने वाले तेरी खैर नहीं.
ये पर्दा हटा दो. जहाँ मिले दो जवान नजर होती तकरार वही है. दिल पर रख कर हाथ ये कह दो हमसे प्यार नहीं है. जहाँ मिले दो जवान नजर होती तकरार वही है. दिल पर रख कर हाथ ये कह दो हमसे प्यार नहीं है.
दिल की बातें दिल वाले नजरों से ही पहचानते. दिल की बातें दिल वाले नजरों से ही पहचानते. लेकिन कुछ ऐसे हैं नाड़ी जो ये भी ना जानते.
ये पहले बताते, बारात लेके आते, हम प्यार करने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं. अरे हम तुम पे मरने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं.
ओ मजनू के नाना,
हम प्यार करने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं. अरे हम तुम पे मरने वाले हैं, कोई गैर नहीं. ये पर्दा हटा दो.
Parda Hata Do, beautiful song, and that was a beautiful song from a film called Ek Phool Do Mali, starring Sanjay Khan. And of course, these things, songs hardly you hear these days because the songs are changing. And I shall be introducing next week, definitely, all the songs of our opening film in 𝐤𝐲𝐬. That's another beautiful song. And Avinash, I must say that you've done a great job in terms of music for this film in 𝐤𝐲𝐬. That will be our opening film for the next film festival. So there you go. Why am I talking about these things? Because these things are so important, and people are beginning to realize that international matter and the turbulence of the world that we live in, our songs are the only savior for your sanity. It's for me anyway. I mean, this worked for me. I don't know if it works for you, because if you are involved in any serious business of work, study, or anything, and you are under pressure, just listen to your songs, whether old, particularly the old songs, and we have a treasure, as we call it. I call it treasure, and then I cherish that treasure in Apna Radio, Apna program. Apna Radio, Apna Music is going to be another program that I'll be launching it soon. This is still in the process of getting it finalized, and therefore the dedicated music program will be on our show as well. Not on this hour, but on Saturday hour. Why? Because the music is the soul of the person. The lyrics, the wordings, and all the rest of it. So while we're talking about it, might not as well take another song and continue and enjoying the song sequence. this is what it's all about. Because, that's another beautiful song. Rajesh Khanna Imam Ali, Mehbooba was the film. So indeed, these songs, 70s, 80s, and beyond that, 60s, 90s, they are all beautiful songs, all classical songs, particularly when it comes to celebrating the Hindi cinema and Hindi songs. That's what I do. That's my profession. That's what I aim for in life. And in fact, what you should aim for in life, you should go for it in the context of our previous Taoiseach, Enda Kenny, Mayo Taoiseach. He's 73 now. He was a former Taoiseach, i.e. the Prime Minister of Ireland. And he's talking about cancer, in fact. Maybe he's suffering from it. I think he's recovering from it. I'm not sure too much detail about it, but look into the internet if you're really interested in that. He says that life is not about what you want. What you have is that what life is. And if you have a health, you have a wealth. Because don't chase wealth. Wealth can be, can disappear just like that. It can be gone because of the circumstances you live in. But what you have right now is you appreciate, you enjoy, and you continue to thrive on that, because that could be snatched away from you sometime. And it happened to me as well personally, not me personally, but my wife. And we were a happy-go-lucky couple for years. We had a beautiful 2 children, 2 boys. And then all of a sudden, one day she comes back from home, from work, and discovered that, looks like I have a little lump on my tummy. And as it appears, it was a cyst, and it was first of all, we thought it's going to be benign, and it's the first reaction was, no, nothing is going to happen, but that cyst was a cancerous cyst that got her in the end after a few years of treatment. 5 years of treatment, 5 years of a struggle, full life. We tried our best to fight that cancer, but I lost her. Anyway, I moved on. I have a life which is not too bad, actually, with songs with you, our listeners, with the festival around me, film festival, and songs, and celebration of Hindi cinema and the radio program, and all that is very much appreciated by the listeners, by the audience, and by the community that I live in. So I'm really lucky to have you all as my fellow listeners, as my dear listeners, and of course my staff, my contributors, my colleagues, Sharad Awasthi in London, and of course Charmain Colvin in Mayo, and Ballyhonus, in fact. Ballyhonus, that's where she had a farm, and her grandfather, would you tell me about it a little bit? I hope she's not mind telling me this particular wonderful story. Her grandfather was a policeman in the British Empire in India, who arrested Gandhi one day, and Mr. Gandhi and Charmain's grandfather, Mr. Colvin, obviously Colvin Talukadar is a school in Lucknow. So they've done a huge amount of work, but they used to live in Fatehpur Sikri, in the castle, in the Qila, in the Fatehpur Sikri. And there, there's the names they have carved on the wall of the palace. So that's where they used to camp around and hang around. And there's a book is published there. So she referred to me the other day about that book. So that's a fantastic connection that we have from, and therefore her interest in India and Indian news is unmatchable. So thank you very much, Charmain, for being part of the Apna Radio. And the news that you put together every week for us is unmatchable, delectable. Anyway, another song, time for another song, and then I'll talk about another horrendous thing that is, oh my God, the time is really flying. Since you are enjoying 49 minutes already, it's gone. But yeah, I mean, the closing point that I really like to talk about that is today is that what else is happening in terms of the world problem and the war looming over, as I mentioned earlier on. The Fourth World War, or Gulf War, or whatever you call it, is that Houthi, as we call it, Yemeni people are attacking they are attacking the U.S. ship right, left, and center with the powerful missiles manufactured perhaps not in Yemen itself, but they're taking revenge of the destitute, oppressed Palestinians, and how Palestine has been wiped out in front of our eyes by indiscriminate bombing and killing of thousands and thousands of people. Nearly 100,000 people have been killed. Entire, the village, entire cities have been erupted and gone. Neighboring Lebanon has also been affected. The leader of, the resistant forces has been attacked, and he's been killed, and he's been assassinated. All of that is somehow gathering some sort of a momentum in the world. And what Donald Trump is saying that, I'm going to flatten you out and I'm going to kill you all and all that. Nothing is going to happen, because he's going to realize that there are powers who are bigger than humans, and that's almighty powers. So that is what is beginning to happening in the world out there, and the war drums are beating between the showdown between America and Iran. And that's what he's pointing out to, that because he thinks that these weapons, sophisticated weapons, are being supplied by Iran. Houthis cannot, Yemen cannot do that. And Yemenis are the one who are doing it at the front. So he has no right to actually attack a sovereign nation without any proof that what they're doing is supplied by Iran. Again, this is a matter for you to investigate and to find out what's going on globally. These kind of informations are very sensitive. You cannot actually get your hands on these situations, but that is what is happening. Houthis, Yemenis are literally, openly, are challenging the U.S. might in the Red Sea. And Red Sea is going to be converted literally into a Red Sea, because the blood starts spilling over of the U.S. soldiers and U.S. Navy who are patrolling, the ships and the goods and services that going into Israel. So that's what it is, and all of that is creating another looming tension. Why can't these guys concentrate on the further development, economic development, educational development, and do all sorts of good things for humanity, of their own nation, of their own country, rather than creating a havoc in the world by creating wars, creating trade wars, and disrupting the ecosystem, as I call it, of the economic ecosystem. So that's what it is. It is nothing else but the disruption of the economic ecosystem. Do you know how long it takes to get one contract, one agreement, one something which is very, difficult to get it, because that's what it takes, a long time to get something, on the horizon, and people do find it difficult to develop anything, whether it's a business deal, whether it's a business contract, whether it's challenged of anything. And then all of a sudden somebody comes, with a total false understanding of the world, and thinks that they are the mighty power, and they can see and they can do whatever they like to the world and dictate their terms. Gone are the days. We're not living in an empire. You try to flex your muscle, but you're not living in an empire. We got rid of the British Empire. We will get rid of any empire who's trying to impose tariffs on India. The terrifying tariffs, I call it, which is right now we're suffering from it right now in Ireland. But let's put it this way, it may not be that bad and as it sounds, and somehow he will come to his senses. So anyway, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular track, and I'm going to play another beautiful track. Enjoy this track.
चैन नहीं आए दिल में तू समाए आया प्यार भरा मौसम दीवाना दीवाना
नींद नहीं आए चैन नहीं आए दिल में तू समाए आया प्यार भरा मौसम दीवाना
गम न कर,
कोई देख ले अगर,
तू गम न कर,
मुझे तो लग रहा है डर।
क्यों मगर,
रुत सुना रही है प्रीत की कहानियाँ।
हाय रे हाय, मस्त घटा चाय, प्यास ना बुझाए, आग सी लगाए, आया प्यार भरा मौसम, दीवाना दीवाना। ओ हो हो, ओ हो हो, दिल ने दिल से क्या कहा,
क्या पता,
दिल ने दिल से क्या कहा,
ये क्या पता,
जरा सा मेरे पास आ,
क्यों भला,
आ तुझे मैं दे दूं प्रेम की निशानियाँ।
हाय रे हाय, जान घबराए, आँख झुकी जाए, सांस रुकी जाए, आया प्यार भरा मौसम, दीवाना दीवाना। छेड़ती है ये हवा,
क्या हुआ,
छेड़ती है ये हवा,
तो क्या हुआ।
That's all, folks. Time has run out. Once again, the clock has beaten me up. And time to say goodbye. And thank you very much for listening me. And thank you very much for tuning me in wherever you are listening. And if you missed the program, no, don't worry. We have technology. We are going to upload this program into our YouTube channel. And you shall be able to listen to it. But for now, bye for now. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great weekend. Continue the festivity of Eid if you're still celebrating Eid. And great that you have been listening to my program for diligently every week. Thank you very much indeed. Bye for now.
मेरे सपनों की रानी कब आएगी तू।